How about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the RedOUT Podcast.
Welcome into another RedOUT Podcast. I am Devin. Jake was arrested this afternoon for law stuff. I'm just completely kidding. But seriously, guys, welcome into the show. As always, like, share, and subscribe. And we are finally got the bye week behind us. We've got Jared with us.
Woo!
And we got Ross.
Hey, guys.
So, first off, we'll do, as always, the winners and losers. I'll do mine real quick. I've kind of stole this from a radio station. Looks like they got their daily DA. You can figure out what that stands for. A 32-year-old named Courtney went into a surf shop and stole a pair of flip-flops and a t-shirt. She might have gotten away with it if she hadn't hopped on her bike and took her shirt off. Then started biking down the middle of the highway with her twins exposed. So the police stopped her for that, and then they found the stolen stuff that she had obviously taken. So she was arrested for theft and indecent exposure. I don't know which computer was just dinging, so... Yeah, so that's my loser for this week, and I guess... is it Eastern Michigan or Central Michigan? Who's getting
Central Michigan.
Yep, who's getting AB back? So
he's going for that Heisman now. You guys just wait. I'm sure he's got a year eligibility somehow. I wouldn't put it past the NCAA. I mean, granting players who have an actual reason to transfer and then saying, "Oh no, you can't do that," and then having someone like him come back, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they would automatically be a loser in my opinion. And I guess another loser would be Kansas for me.
That's the win to me.
Oh, that's a win to you? For those of you who don't know, Kansas is under NCAA investigation for that whole pay-to-play scandal that's going out. I won't comment, but you all can look it up and see what you think, because it's pretty crazy stuff. Ross, do you have any winners and losers?
Not really a lot of winners. Trying to think. It's kind of cool for the Bills to be 3-0. I mean, I'm sure their fans aren't used to that. But my biggest loser of the week is the Chicago Cubs. They went from 74% chance of making the playoffs just a week ago, and then proceeded to lose 7 straight and got eliminated yesterday.
My gosh.
So talk about finishing the season strong. So I think that's kind of funny, especially with how bandwagon and obnoxious their fan base is. So
I completely agree with that. As far as the fan base is concerned, they can be quite annoying. Jared, what do you got, bud?
All right, I got a lot for you. All right, so here we go. My winner / loser, not just for the week, but probably this entire season, is going to be my Miami Dolphins. But let me tell you how they can be winners, my friends. So I'll go ahead and preface this saying that I've seen all sorts of things on the internet, all these memes and funny things saying about how bad the Dolphins are. Devin.
Yep.
But, see, I finally got to see them play Sunday against Dallas. And I can truly say that this is one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my entire life. But
that's saying something.
They are accomplishing the goal that they have set out to get this year. While their coach has not said that they are tanking, they have gotten rid of every single good player on their team that they could have to make them have any success whatsoever, to guarantee that, we're trying to win a game, but we are still tanking the season. So far this year, the Dolphins have been outscored 133-16 and have only scored 1 touchdown and 0 points in the second half. They have yet to score anything in the second half this season, 3 weeks in. So that's pretty terrible. Yes. This is really bad. But let me tell you how this isn't going to be so bad. I've officially gotten to the point where I'm okay with this being a total loss of the season, because I have the bright side of looking towards the NFL draft and everything. They've gotten rid of all these players. They have a new head coach. They're kind of reestablishing, getting a new locker room, getting a lot of the toxic people out. And it's going to allow them to kind of start new, kind of a square basis for everything. And any player that doesn't want to be there, they just trade and get a first-round draft pick out of, like Minka Fitzpatrick. And now that's looking really good, too, because the Steelers lost Big Ben. So now the Dolphins have a shot of getting 2 picks in the top 5 of the first round this upcoming season. But as it stands right now, they have 3 first-round picks in 2020, 2 second-round picks, 2 first-round picks in 2021, and 2 second-round picks in 2021 as well, and projected nearly $120 million in cap space for next year. So that's going to allow them to get 5 new guys next year on rookie deals, as well as a bunch of good free agents as well. So they're going to be able to get a lot of key players that they don't have now, to be able to draft a quarterback and offensive linemen and stuff like that. So I'm perfectly fine with seeing how bad this year can go, because technically a win is like accomplishing a goal or something that you're trying to achieve, and they're trying to lose the season. So that makes them winners, I guess. But yeah, that's all I have to say about my Dolphins.
Yeah, you say and do whatever you have to help yourself back off the edge, because I'm sorry, buddy, it's rough. And like you said, it was over 100 points to only 16 points. Good gravy, man. Yeah. That's so depressing.
I remember
right there.
The 1-15 season they had in 2007, and that was pretty bad. But I think this may be the worst team the NFL's had in their history, possibly.
So since the Lions, what was that, 10 years ago?
Yeah, the Lions were atrocious, even though they had Megatron and Stafford back then. But
it makes me feel better. At least the Dolphins are trying to be bad, because they're not actually trying to achieve anything this year except to guarantee a first-round draft pick, like possibly number 1 overall. So I can live with that, maybe.
I mean,
I
know we're joking and calling them losers and everything, but at the end of the day, they're still getting paid whether they win or lose.
I mean, I would sign a contract right now to be on the team easily.
I completely agree. I mean, if I paid $150 and got to call 4 plays, I'd be extremely tickled. So it's all good. So definitely the Miami Dolphins. I think it's going to be a continuing streak to see them continually going downhill, but we'll see how it goes. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up some notes real quick. So Ross, I'll let you go ahead and start talking about the other sports on the hill that are doing well this week.
Okay. First, we'll start off with our receiving votes volleyball team. They had a perfect week again, and now sit at I think it's 14-1 on the season after beating Austin Peay last night. So they swept NKU, Tulsa, and Samford last weekend, and now they're receiving votes that like we said, I guess 2 weeks ago when I talked about it, they're kind of back to where they were, if not better than they were a couple years ago. Had all those great players. So basically now they're about to hit Conference USA play, and it is going to be pretty much championship or bust. They do have a big match on November 10th, so about a month and change away, against Rice, who's the other one-loss team in the conference who beat number 3 Texas. So I wouldn't be surprised if both have one loss heading into that, and it could really kind of set the tone. So that's one thing to feel good about. And then we've got the women's soccer team that won in double overtime last weekend against Southern Miss. They're sitting at 4-2-1. I think they've already matched last season's win total. And then yesterday in golf, men's and women's golf also had a good weekend. So let's see, you had women's golf finished second at the Michigan State Invitational to Michigan State, and I don't know how many teams were in it, but that's pretty impressive for women's golf.
Yes, yeah, completely agree.
Then men's golf had a champion yesterday at the Graham McDowell Classic in Birmingham when Linus Lowe had his first career victory by 3 strokes. So, really good non-high-profile sport time of the year. I mean, if Western can get their football team rolling, I mean, everybody's winning right now. So it's pretty cool that secondary sports have always been pretty good over the past 10 years or so, but it's kind of cool to see that you can keep up with other stuff as well, just as just little things to cheer on Twitter and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, Western keeping up the volleyball U stuff, and with golf doing well. I mean, it's got to be hard to play in the snow in Michigan because they're getting snow this time of year. I mean, it's always good to see this. I guess the quote secondary sports do well, and like you said, football gets back on track. I think we'll be good. I think we'll be okay. Jared, I think Western got a little shade this week. What are you thinking, buddy?
Yeah, like ESPN's latest mock draft for the 2020 NBA draft. I looked at all of the picks, and Batsy was not included in either the first round or the second round, and it kind of left me scratching my head. Just like, you sure about that?
I don't think you're the only one.
Batsy's going to be coming back for a second year, obviously. It's kind of a big deal for Western to have that. But I don't see him getting worse. I mean, he was able to have the combine to see what he needs to work on now. He's going to have a healthy knee going into next season. I think a lot of the things that he may have struggled with last year, he's going to be able to improve on. And the team will be better, too, because they'll actually have people that can shoot the ball without them having to triple-team Bassey while he's in the paint every single possession towards the end of the season like they did last year. So that's going to open the things up for him even more. So I project him to do even better. But if you put his stats, the stats that he had, and you put him on a Power 5 team, he would have gotten taken in the draft this past year because, I mean, he's doing things that not many other freshmen did this past season. So I was just kind of confused as to why they really didn't even give him the courtesy of being on there. But, I mean, it's ESPN, so what do you expect?
I've got an idea, so.
Go for it.
There's a reason he came back, and the reason was he was probably not going to get drafted. So, yeah. I mean, ipso facto, if they don't see him improving on those things, or if he's being pigeonholed into a, non-shooting big man, kind of undersized big man, what have you, then they don't. I mean, he could have a monster sophomore season, but they've already picked apart his game where he's not going to really rise. So I think they're projecting him to kind of stay as the same player instead of improve. So he wasn't going to get drafted last year. Why put him in there now? I just hope he uses that as motivation and. Honestly, as a Western fan, A, you want him to do well, but B, you want him to get drafted because, if Stansbury's going, he had some people that went to Power 5 schools last week that we were recruiting heavy. And if we don't have proof of concept that you can come to Western, still get drafted, still get exposure, that's going to be used negatively against him. And we've already got to overcome the fact that we're not making the tournament, that we're mid-major school. He needs Bassey to do well. We need to start making the tournament again. That's how you build, that's how you build on the talent that you have now and get as good a talent that we think he can get. So
I agree. And I think I'm going to expand a little bit on what Jared was saying. If Bassey was in a Power 5 school, I think he would have had a lot better year last year because teams basically just handcuffed him. There was a double down below. And, they kind of locked him in so that he couldn't get those shots down low, where with a Power 5 school, he probably would have had 2 or 3 other guys on the same talent level, if not more talent, who could have opened him up for the underneath, giving him more defensive looks or offensive looks, and that kind of thing. But
that's the argument that probably other schools, like who's that Lampkin kid who went to TCU?
Yeah.
Why are you going to go to Western? Bassey didn't even get drafted.
Yeah,
that's we need to overcome that kind of stuff, and Bassey needs to overcome that kind of stuff, or it's going to be harder and harder to get talent. So completely
agree.
Yeah,
it's just nice to play the devil's advocate every once in a while. So last week Western didn't win or lose because we were in a bye week. So yay us! I have yet to hear which quarterback will be starting. Have you all heard anything?
I think it's officially story time, maybe. That's pretty much going to be the favorite, I were to guess.
Okay.
He said he's not going to commit who it is. I think it's the same stuff where he's...
I think they know, though. They know.
It's just gamesmanship. Yeah, it's going to be story.
And that's my thing is, coaches know who it is, and this is just another way for them to play misdirection. For one thing, the UAB coaching staff has no tape on story as far as playing at Western. So that'll be a factor as far as the game goes. If you all had to describe Story, how would you describe him? Ross, why don't you go first?
I still think he's a mystery. That's how I would describe him. I mean,
so he's a mystery flavor.
Yeah,
it's like the white airheads.
There you go.
He was on a bad Arkansas team last year. There's new staff, new system. and he was kind of sacrificial lamb. His numbers were really not good there at all. I mean, he was like 57% passing, 12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Had some games where he kind of shined bright and other games where he looked just terrible. I mean, the question is, the glass half full is, okay, he's technically going to an easier league, obviously, between the SEC and Conference USA. Does the game slow down for him, and does the experience he gained last year playing against harder competition make it easier for him to be successful at this level?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Jared, what do you think, bud?
Yeah, I mean, still think Story's going to be a little bit of a mystery. I mean, I didn't really see how he looked at Arkansas last year or anything like that. I mean, looking at his stats, I mean, he had some pretty solid numbers in some of his games. It's just the team as a whole isn't very good. And even now, I mean, they're not too good. I mean, Arkansas just lost to San Jose State this past weekend in Fayetteville, so that may be a lot better game that Western has a chance in winning, depending on how he does and if he is for sure the guy. But, I mean, I heard that he's decently consistent. He may not have as much arm strength as some of the other guys, but as long as he can put it on the money. I mean, Helton hasn't really had Duncan air it out a whole lot. I mean, if you can do the short passes, be maybe even sort of like a Dowdy kind of guy. I mean, it doesn't have to be Hail Mary every single play, but just get those consistent 15 to 20 yard passes and stuff like that. If he can make those, that'll definitely help.
I agree. I think this is going to be a game that we're going to kind of go, this is going to show how Story is. And I'm glad you brought up Arkansas. Arkansas is kind of a mystery this year, too, as far as how they're going to be losing to San Jose State and then, crushing Colorado State. It's kind of up in the air as far as things go. But back to what we're talking about. We're talking about UAB. They are a team who is sitting currently 3-0, looking at fixing to start conference play just like Western. And ESPN's Football Power Index has Western rated at a 61% winning percentage. However, Vegas has Western at a +3, which means UAB is at -3, so they're going to be winning by 3 points by that logic, by those numbers. Jared, what do you think we're going to be looking at this weekend?
Honestly, I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it goes back to just how Western's going to look with Story. I mean, that's going to be a major thing, seeing how the offense clicks. I mean, I think we have secondary is still kind of up in the air for me at the moment. I mean, if you look at UAB, you look at their quarterback and seeing what he's been doing so far, I mean, it's definitely going to be kind of hard for them to try to contain that for 4 quarters. Usually they're pretty good for the half, but then coming in on the second half and seeing what they can do. Although they looked better in the second half against Louisville than they did in the first half, especially the second quarter. But I would just love to see how they do with full game conference time already. They looked pretty good at FIU and everything not too long ago, but UAB coming off the Conference USA title last season, they did lose a ton of seniors, but they still have a lot of talent. They still have a good coach, Bill Clark. I think that it's going to be a pretty close game, but Western will probably lose just for the fact that I'm going to be in attendance, and they have not won a game that I've been in attendance at since 2015. But it is what it is. Hopefully they'll break that spell.
I agree with that. Just kind of expand a little bit with. My thing is with like you were talking about. It seems to me that UAB is finishing games. If you look at their schedule. Even they started out with, Alabama State this year, beat them 24-19, Akron 31-20, and then South Alabama 35-3. And if you read the keys to victory that Matt McKay posted on the Towel Rack's website and on the Facebook, WKU football groups and all that, check that article out. It's a really good read. They have faced similar problems as far as Western has too, and they capitalized and they finished things. So that's what's got me worried. As far as things go, we got the new quarterback coming in, so we'll just have to see how everything comes out. Ross, what are your thoughts on this game this weekend?
So, first thing, I mean, UAB obviously they have a winning tradition now. It's kind of where Western was 2 years ago. They knew how to win, and they still have their coach. They've kind of struggled a little bit early that Alabama State game, but have gotten better as the season has gone on. I would caution a little bit. Their schedule has been, god awful. I mean, you got an FCS team, and then probably two of the worst teams in FBS. I think Tom Fornelli on CBS Sports, the website has Akron playing some other school in the worst game of the week. So and they beat them by 11 on their house. So I think Western having a week to prepare, playing them at home. The unknown factor of what little wrinkles they'll use with Ty Story. I mean, they have as good a shot as any. There's a reason the line actually opened up as Western being a 3-point favorite, because they thought, okay, well, UAB still a little unproven. They lost 36 seniors from last year. They've got plenty of areas that worry me. I mean, their quarterback I watched a little bit of that game on the NFL Network, flipping around, and their quarterback throws a great deep ball, and obviously that's been Western's biggest problem this season is containing the deep ball. So, if they haven't fixed that before the bye, during the bye week, then it could be a long day. But I like the idea of, playing at home in front of our crowd, and, Western really can't start 1-3 because they know that the enthusiasm is going to go away. So I look for the team to be motivated. I don't know if it'll be enough to win, but it should be a close game on Saturday.
As long as we don't have a second quarter against Louisville, I completely agree. That was just wheels falling off the bus, kind of thing, and it was just god awful. I
don't see UAB having that talent differential like Louisville.
I agree.
Yeah.
Of course, just not divulging the entire article because you should read it. It's a great article. Matt does a great job. They do have a dual threat quarterback. They do have 3 wide receivers that are going to be a pain in the butt for us. And, what was that?
That was
the beginning of that WKU basketball video. I was watching it while
I thought that was some kind of Japanese, old Japanese
I'm not
video.
sure what that's supposed to be a segue into.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to have to work on my segue music. So check out the article. It does a great job. He goes extensively. He's an insurance guy, so he's going to be a detail-oriented guy. I know we're going to kind of go on quick this week, but it's kind of like a half a show since we don't have to do a recap. So we're going to jump into the mailbag here. Matt asks, is UAB a fluke at 3-0, or are they for real? I kind of alluded to this earlier. It's not a fluke, but I think they take care of business. And I think that's something for Western to be nervous about. Jared, what do you think? Do you think they're a fluke, or do you think they're for real?
I still think they're pretty legit. I mean, they've looked solid up to this point. So, and of course with Western, I mean, we already lost to Central Arkansas. So, I mean, who are we to really decide if it's legit
we
or
can't
not?
Judge. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference. But yeah, I mean, I say they're pretty legit. I don't know if I doubt they'll win the conference championship again, but I think they'll do pretty solid.
I completely agree. It'll be a tough game. I think Western can hang in there, like Ross and you all have both said. But we'll have to see how Story comes out, because I think Story and Lucky Jackson and Gage Walker are going to be really big keys to this game. And yes, it is proper etiquette to watch the game in the middle of a wedding, because that's your own fault for scheduling the wedding then. So, just saying. My wife and I, we got married September 8th and 7 years ago. And the game that we scheduled our wedding around was the Western Alabama game, so there wasn't a lot of question as to who was going to win that game. So when conference play starts, it's on you, as far as I'm concerned.
If Western
don't
would have
get
won that
married
game,
during
you
the
would have
fall
been so
period.
mad.
Come on,
Hold on one second. Ross, what do you got, buddy?
I said, don't get married during the fall period. I've got to miss. Well, luckily, Western was on bye. I went to a wedding last week, but yeah, I mean. Everybody loves college football, but come on, just schedule it during the spring, summer, or winter. There's tons of times to do that. So, and I guess my smoke detector is going off. So.
Whatever you're cooking must be done. So, Jared, what do you think, bud?
Oh, man. I'm too distracted by what just happened to remember what that question was.
Should you schedule a wedding during Western season?
No, I mean, if it's a Saturday between September and
April?
January, well, yeah, even April, going into March Madness and all of that, you want to just wait until after April. Like between April and early August, somewhere around there.
Good luck with that, buddy. Good luck with that. I know how it was when I got married, so it was just like, yeah, sure, whatever you say. So Matt asks, why is WKU favored by Vegas? Are we missing something?
Well, they're not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, UAB's got the -3, so that just tells me that as far as Vegas is concerned, they're trying to balance out the bets. But
I mean, on the surface, they should be favored by a lot more. To me, that honestly shows that these teams are closer than the average person would think. I mean, I think the obviously the FPI, like the preseason rankings. I mean, you get some points for being at home. With home point advantage is 3, so they said it was a toss up pretty much to start off. Or Western was +3, or -3 to start off. Well, they erased that home field advantage, and now UVA is getting that 3. So, I mean, there was a 6-point betting swing, but to me, it just shows that, UAB might be a little overvalued because of their recent win against South Alabama, where they looked really impressive.
I agree.
Because before that, they weren't really that great yet.
But is South Alabama going to be really that good, you think?
No.
Yeah, that was another thought for me. I'm just thinking, I just don't see.
They're still winning the games as they're supposed to, though. Which
exactly,
is better than what
and we
you
can't
said
say
for
that. Yeah, we can't say that right now. Let's see. Where is UAB vulnerable, and how can we capitalize? So it was kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Their strengths, wide receivers, quarterback's a dual threat quarterback, so we got to be on top of him. I think we could dominate the run. Use our D linemen, who are amazing this year. Let them, capitalize. And I think the big key to everything, again, is to be net positive on turnovers. So we need to get more turnovers. I mean, against Louisville, we did really well as far as the turnovers go, but we just got to, bring them back in. Let me see. What were we on Louisville? I know we had one. I know...
just that one fumble, but it was a killer.
Yeah, Louisville had the one, and we had 2, technically. Because I think Lucky didn't Lucky have a fumble?
Oh, yeah, Lucky had a fumble, too.
Lucky had one, Duncan. And Stephen Duncan had one. But we did get our one we needed, so, if we get 2 turnovers this week, and, keep everything on our side of the ball clean, I think we'll be fine. You got to win the turnover battle. Don't do dumb penalties, and we did a lot better with that last week against Louisville. So, Jared, what do you think, buddy? What do you think UAB can be vulnerable at?
I haven't really seen them play enough to fully be able to kind of see what they look like up to this point. But I mean, just looking at the teams that they've beaten and everything, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll be like skewed or anything just by looking at like games against South Alabama and smaller cupcakes and stuff. But
I agree. It's kind of my thing too. I haven't seen them.
I hope that Gage Walker is still able to have at least 100 yards rushing. I think being able to establish the run game and just run it a lot would be helpful. But still mix it with some play action. That way you can get Ty Story to do some really good stuff. That's going to be really important. And as long as Story holds on to the football, that's my biggest key. Is that, I mean, obviously Duncan, that's something that he really struggled with. And just those turnovers, especially that fumble he had. I'm really hoping, even if it doesn't have to be a perfect game, but I really hope that our passing looks pretty solid. I'm not expecting like Brandon Dowdy numbers like 400 yards, 6 touchdowns kind of thing. But even if it's just like 250, 2 touchdowns, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 interception, as long as the ratio is good. But yeah, and as far as UAB, I haven't really seen them enough to be able to decipher what they look like.
Yeah, that's me too. Ross,
I've got some stuff.
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
First thing I would say, just looking at some stats, against Akron, they gave up 359 yards passing. So I think, obviously, if Story can distribute the ball and get the passing game going, a little bit even better than Duncan, I think that we'll be able to get some yards through the air. I mean, 359 yards against a bad Akron team they gave up. And then Tyler Johnston, their quarterback, has been pretty good for 2 out of the 3 games, the last 2 games. But he's only a sophomore, and this is going to be like his first real road test. It's going to be Parents' Weekend. It should probably be one of the best crowds of the season. So, if we can get him to make some mistakes early, maybe he gets a little rattled and makes some mistakes. So, I think UAB's got talent, but some of it's young and some of it hasn't really faced adversity. I mean, so I think if we can keep the game close, force some turnovers, and get the passing game going, I think that's going to be the keys to taking advantage of probably a slightly better team than us. So
yeah, I completely agree with that. Looks like I don't have any questions on the UAB front. I see where Jake has his comments as far as how UAB is going to be. So check those out on Twitter. Follow us at RedOUT. Follow the Towel Rack at Towel Rack WKU.
Ask some actual questions instead of comments.
Hey, I'm good with the comments. There are a couple that I'm like, I don't get what you're saying. For instance, Brad, appreciate you supporting us here, buddy. But he has some good insights as far as the UAB game's concerned. He said we had one edge, that was passing yards. Not anymore. Our quarterback is out. We're starting fresh QB, a fresh start QB. That's not quite true. Okay, Ty Story is a quarterback who's been in the SEC. He's been playing for maybe a bottom feeder in Arkansas, but he's still at the higher level. He's seeing the better teams. As far as that's concerned.
If we have to play Shanley, he passed for 68% passing last year. So we've got people who have experience regardless, and that's better than starting somebody green off the street.
Yeah, so. Except for Thomas. Yeah, he would be green. Yeah.
No, yeah.
But Thomas didn't start in.
Yeah, Thomas. I think Thomas has potential. I think a kid can be good eventually, but
bring him in as the Tebow.
Yeah,
I mean, just the short yardage, bulldozer, jump pass, whatever.
The
I would love to
Wildcat,
see Thomas in that role.
John comments and says, with UAB's biggest game being against Tennessee, they stand a good chance of going undefeated. I don't get it either, but go Tops. Yeah, I mean, they've finished things, though. That's where Western hasn't been able to capitalize. They haven't finished anything. Make sure to send us your questions. I'll try to remember to post those on Monday morning, so you all can comment and send us your questions about the upcoming week, about questions you may have about. Bless you. If you got questions on, anything, I'll answer whatever. I don't care. It's whatever. I
have some hot takes if you want them, Devin.
Let's hear the hot takes, Jared. I always enjoy these.
Yeah, sadly, I was gone on vacation to Gatlinburg last week, so I wasn't on the podcast, kind of out of the loop, finally catching up on all the stupid things that are said on the internet within the WKU realm, as always. But 2 significant things kind of happened. One, September 18th, 2017. I don't know if that date rings a bell to any of you, but it was... It's just sort of the theme that my hot takes account was kind of just made after was this one situation. And of course, as you say on the podcast, Devin, it was about the one who shall not be named.
Yes.
That was when he officially decided that he will not play for Western and instead he will enter the NBA draft. So it's been hard to believe that's been 2 years ago. The whole
that is.
It's crazy. It's hilarious because he actually follows that account, which is funny. He just followed all of the WKU people and then never followed anyone since, I don't think, and didn't unfollow anyone since. And he still uses his Twitter. He's up to almost 30,000 followers now that he's on the Knicks. But
that's hilarious.
It is really funny. I doubt he saw it, but if he did, then he's probably just man, And I swear I don't know what's wrong with those people in Bowling Green. But
He
the
should
other one,
know
of course,
what's-
was when ESPN came out initially with the UAB Western game, and they had Western with a 61% chance of winning, according to their Football Power Index. So I did the little hand with holding the pen thing, like to have that, and it got retweeted by a lot of people. But one of them, see, I'm a huge history and archaeology nerd. And just for some random reason, one of the people that, quote, retweeted it was Sarah Perrick, which is a person that y'all wouldn't really know. She's like a famous Egyptologist or whatever, like studying Egypt culture, and is an archaeologist and does all these really cool things with satellites trying to find like ancient ruins of different things within like Egypt and stuff. So really cool. She's a professor at UAB, so respect. But she said, oh, wow, 1 and 2 team takes on an undefeated UAB team who are starting to settle into a whooping. Buckle up, not the right percentage. She retweeted that. So
That's hilarious.
yeah, it's really funny. Like the history nerd in me saw that. It's like, oh, it's actually kind of cool. I like archaeology, but at the same time, I hope we definitely win because then it would be a cold take that she said all of that and they lose. So
Yeah,
go Tops.
I think you should stick to Egyptology then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, you got any more?
Those are the main ones that I've been able to catch up to right now, but I'm sure whatever happens Saturday, we'll be able to see some pretty ridiculous stuff that's said.
Oh my
So,
gosh, yes, I
Tune
completely
in
agree.
next week.
So since you all weren't here last week, we did the you know your old win, and I think a lot of mine was diet drinks, sweet potatoes, the New Balance shoes. Complaining about music, newer music. So, since Jared just turned 16, we're going to see as far as Ross, what are some of your things that you may have thought when you were younger that was old that you do now?
I'd say like one thing I really love doing is like watching documentaries, listening to podcasts, stuff like that. Just I know that new Ken Burns like documentary about country music just came on. It's like 9 2-hour episodes, and I've just been devouring that. I guess my younger self probably wouldn't take the time to do that. I mean, just kind of staying. A lot of the stuff you said last week. New music. I can't really find anybody that I like nowadays.
I feel you there. I do feel you there.
That's the really big stuff. Like, just, taking some personal time. Maybe not wanting to go out all the time, just kind of wanting to stay in. I think Jake and you stole most of my thunder before. So,
but yeah,
I've always been kind of an old soul anyway. So
I completely hear you, though, on the wanting to stay in and not go out. We went out with a friend last night and went out to eat and everything, and then we went home. And it was like 8 o'clock, and my wife and I are just like, this is so ridiculous. It's like, ugh. We're so old, I mean, you'd go out and spend the night and, or, do whatever and stay out all night or whatever. And now it's like, dude, I just want to go home. I don't even care to go out.
Well, that and just the hangovers hurt like way more than they used to. Like, man, like you go out and have fun. It takes a lot longer to bounce back. So.
Well, of course, I've got a designated driver until at least January, so I'm not worried about that. So
took advantage of that twice. I know where you're at.
Exactly. So Jared, at 16, what do you think? What's the oldest thing that you do currently?
All right, Devin, I'm just going to say it right here. I turned 26 yesterday, as in when we're recording this, 2 days ago, when you guys will probably be listening to it. And I'm officially closer to 30 now than I am 20, which is terrifying. But I want you to know that I thought I told you on this podcast already, but the nickname that I had all summer at the camp that I worked at was Pappy, because I am an old man. I just am. Like, on a typical day where I don't have a lot to do, I probably go to bed at like 9 o'clock easily every single night. Like, usually,
gosh.
unless there's a TV show that I really care about is on, that I might stay up and watch. But usually I go to bed at 9. When I got back from vacation in the camp that I had to work at, we had a retreat this past weekend. Like, I was worn out, my allergies were killing me, so I popped a Benadryl and went to bed at 8 p.m. Saturday night, and it was the most glorious thing I'd ever experienced in my life. It was beautiful.
The Benadryl will get you, man.
It does.
Yeah.
Benadryl will knock you out.
But, yeah, they call me Pappy just because, I mean, that I go to bed super early. I love sleeping a lot. Of course, you guys don't actually know what I really look like, but I'm always rocking my cargo shorts. I don't care what anybody says. I love the extra pockets. I always have my phone in the right cargo pocket on my leg. That's where it belongs. I mean, for some reason, my generation and younger absolutely hates cargo shorts, but I don't really care if they're fashionable or not because I use all of the pockets for like my headphones, my keys, my phone, of course my wallet, my guitar picks, and all sorts of other random crap I have with me. But those are the two big things that going to bed before 9 o'clock consistently without anyone ever telling me to for literally no reason other than the fact that I want to go to bed. And two,
that's hilarious.
Wearing cargo shorts all the time because I don't really care about fashion that much, or else I would probably wear something besides cargo shorts. Like, it's weird because working with all the younger kids that I have at camp, like most of the other staff are like Gen Z and like all of that generation, like the teenagers now. And that's weird because I can sort of relate to them, but at the same time, like I hear them talk about some random stuff. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? Like, especially with TikTok. That's another thing. Y'all probably don't even know what that is.
Not a clue. I have no
What's
idea.
TikTok? Explain it to us.
Yeah, TikTok is like the really popular like video app right now. Like, I don't know if you guys remember Vine.
Yes, I've seen TikTok.
Is where you could only record videos for like 6 seconds long, and it's like something really funny usually. It's like the same vein as it is that you can add music to different stuff, make all these different cuts, and it's just it's really stupid. Like, it's a really popular trend right now, but I don't like it as much as I liked Vine. See, that was more my cup of tea. But that's like the popular thing all the kids are doing. As far as like with the whole new music thing, there's a lot of new music that I listen to, but a lot of the music that I end up listening to like consistently is stuff that I listened to in like the mid 2000s and stuff. Like 2007, that was a really good year for music in my opinion. Stuff around that. But I mean,
you're also a music, so you can have a different appreciation compared to somebody like Devin or I. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like the music that the music that I'm going to hit on the most is probably like country nowadays. It's just not. There are some songs.
New country is terrible.
It
I will
is.
go on record saying that.
New
country's terrible. New rap's terrible. New pop's terrible. It's all terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's still good music being made. It's just like it's so hard to find. Like it's within like I listen to so many different styles of music. I mean, it's just part of being a musician and a music major in college is having that beat into your head and always looking for the next thing to listen to. So I mean, thankfully there is. It's not as much as I wish it was. At least mainstream. Like mainstream music now is just usually terrible.
Yes,
but I mean, it is what it is. There is good music that exists. It's just a lot harder to find through all the filth.
So one of my old things that I feel like makes an old person is crime documentaries. I feel like that's an old person thing, and I love doing that. So
like the other day, I was watching like 4 hours worth of paranormal documentaries. If that counts, like really spooky stuff.
I love those. Speaking of spooky stuff, so my wife's pregnant. Obviously, we've been talking about this for a few weeks. So she bought herself an inflatable pillow. That has a hole cut out for her stomach and her twins and, her face so she can lay on her stomach without putting any pressure on the baby and stuff like that. So she inflates this little sucker. I say little. The thing's like 8 foot tall. And she props it against the wall in our bedroom. And I literally, I look over at her and I told her, I said, you will get that thing shot in the middle of the night because I'm going to see that in the middle of the night without contacts in and not have any idea what that is. I'm going to think it's some kind of boogeyman trying to get me. But it was just...
She puts a white sheet on there and messes with you and says it's a ghost.
Yeah, that's what... The bad thing is, this morning when I woke up, I just kind of glanced over and I saw it and she had put her shorts next to it. And in my head... I just automatically went to a transgender shack, and I don't know why I did that. I was just looking, and I was like, that just reminds me of Shaq with a dress on. I have no idea why, but
Well, there's old videos like him and Larry Johnson back in the 90s, like rocking the old lady, like the old black lady at church look, and it was kind of funny. I'll find it for you.
Yeah, definitely we'll share that. But yeah, so listening to crime documentaries like I was talking about, there's a new podcast for Kentucky people who will love this. It's a podcast from the Vault. I think the group's called Vault. It's called Bardstown. And I am deeply enthralled. I'll listen to that thing multiple times a day. It's really good.
Is it about like the cornbread mafia stuff, or just everything about Bardstown?
It is the documentary is about the 5 people who were killed in Bardstown around 2013 to 16 or so. So
I remember those killings.
So Jason Ellis, the mother-daughter pair, Crystal Rogers, and then her father being killed. So I encourage you all to listen to that. That's a really good podcast. And I mean, it's really good. I really enjoy listening to that kind of stuff too. But
one of my favorite things that I watched recently it's the TV show. I've talked about it on here before. Expedition Unknown. It comes on the Discovery Channels Wednesdays at about 8. And what they did a special is a 2-episode special where they talked about the Dyatlov hikers in Russia. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. It was about these 9 Russian students that went to the middle of nowhere Siberia on this trip, and they were camping out and all of this stuff, and no one really hears anything out of them, and they actually go to where they were, and all 9 of them were killed, and they still don't know what actually killed them. Their tent was ripped from the inside out, and they died kind of grotesque ways. It's really, really interesting.
Wow.
Some people think it's aliens or Bigfoot. Some think that it was the Russians testing missiles or some type of government cover up. But it was really interesting. They actually went to where all of that happened, and they found all of this weird evidence that they could actually use to try to help solve the case. But that was in the 50s.
Oh
and
my
they
gosh.
still don't know what happened to him. This is the Dyatlov case.
Yes, look that up. That sounds really interesting. And the, of course, talking about stuff we're interested in. I enjoy the show Mindhunters on Netflix.
Love it. It's great.
Gosh, it's a good show. And the dude, you'll have to help me out here, Ross, because I can't think of the guy's name. I can't think of the actor's name either, so it doesn't really matter. The big guy that plays the serial killer, the one they first talked to, that wears the glasses.
Kemper or whatever?
Yes, such a great actor. Does a great job. He just creeps you out. The actor does such a great job of, creating that mindset of the serial killer. You're just like, oh my gosh, this guy does such a great job at this.
I thought they did, the fun fact, the guy, they had Charlie Manson on this season, and they had the same actor. You know that movie that came out a couple months ago, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes.
The Quentin Tarantino movie?
Yes.
Well, he had a cameo as Manson in that, and then he was Manson on Mindhunter. So this actor has been typecast as Charlie Manson for back-to-back things, so it's kind of funny.
Okay, so my South Park movie knowledge. I just encourage you all to watch the Thanksgiving special of South Park where Charlie Manson escapes and he takes the kids hostage. It's really hilarious. It's it's a wonderful life kind of moment, and he changes. The entire show, he's got a swastika stuck into his forehead, and he changes it to a smiley face. It's just ridiculous stuff. But
I haven't seen that one in 20 years, but I remember it being funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, watch that on Hulu in front of your kids, buddy. Okay. So do you all have anything else?
I just think I'm a lot older than you give me credit for, Devin. I am an old man at heart. I really am.
You're getting there, buddy. I'll give you that.
Yeah, when I went to the Smokies, I don't do all the touristy stuff. Forget all of the stuff that's downtown. I'm all about going up and hiking and into the mountains and just relaxing, seeing all the beautiful naturey stuff. I don't really care about Pigeon Forge at all that stuff.
Have you ever made your own beef jerky?
I have not.
No, I haven't.
I love deer jerky, but I have not made my own jerky.
We got a dehydrator for our wedding, and we did it like once or twice when we went to the gorge. So
I will.
That's your next on the old man scale, Jared.
I will say
that's my homework. You always give me homework.
Yes.
Everyone does on the podcast. So.
Yes, I will say honestly, one of my best investments. Well, it really wasn't an investment; it was a Christmas gift. Was a smoker. Smoking your own meat, that's great. That's fun stuff.
I do that all the time. I love it.
Love it. And actually, I mean, it's really good stuff, too. I mean, some of the stuff we get, my wife and I always like doing like pork tenderloin and stuff like that. It's great stuff. Love it. Always inject your meat, guys, just so you know.
It'll dry out if you don't.
Seriously, yeah. I mean, it's good stuff. If you take a needle injector and inject the tenderloin, I know Jared giggled. Yeah, inject the meat. Do it multiple times, whatever you want to use. Butter, barbecue sauce, whatever. It always works pretty good. So there you go. What else do you need in your sports podcast? Smoking advice. So there you go. That's all I've got, guys. Jared is turned 26 this week, you said, buddy?
Yeah.
So, happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Happy birthday.
Yep. Enjoy it, buddy. You're the next birthday to look forward to is, 65 when you get AARP, if that's still around when we get there.
Yeah.
Have a Bailey's on us, Jared.
That's right, yes. Have an Irish cream for us, buddy.
All right. I can do that.
There we go. Guys, don't forget the game this weekend, UAB versus Western. It's in Bowling Green. The game starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN+. We encourage you.
It's a whiteout. Wear white.
It is a whiteout, sadly. Too bad we can't get red. But anyway.
We're trying to blind UAB.
That's what it is, yes. If we all wear white, we will just completely blind them. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, fun fact for y'all. I about broke my neck today going into a store. I was completely thrown off. So, long story short, right here at the end of the podcast, I went to this store. They sell retro video game stuff. I always like to go and look at the old stuff. I walk in the store, and right inside the store, there's about a 3-inch step. I missed the step, and I just went straight down.
Oof.
Oh, dude. It hurt. I was embarrassed. I was more embarrassed than hurt. The dude's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And then I get home and I'm like, oh my god, my ankle hurts like hell.
Did you sue them immediately? That's what you should have done.
Yeah, right. I should have got a discount though. I mean, hell, I bought something. They should have discounted it at least. But anyway, so guys, check out the football game. Check out the Towel Rack. Like, share, and subscribe this episode. We appreciate your support. And as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.